Would you like your warping to go faster and easier? You've looked into getting a warping mill, but it's just not in the budget? I'm going to show you today how you can make your own warping mill out of PVC pipes and some tools you probably already have on hand. I'm Dolores Jacobs. I'm a fiber artist. I like weaving and spinning and dyeing and a lot of other fibery things. So today I'm going to teach you how to make your own PVC warping mill. You don't need to worry about taking notes. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you a free PDF download you can print and have on hand for yourselves. So let's get started.
Building a PVC warping mill. It's inexpensive, quick, and easy. So what is a warping mill? A warping mill is used to measure and arrange a weaving warp. It can be called a mill or a reel, and it's faster than using a warping board, holds a larger amount of warp. And why make your own mill? When I began weaving, there were so many tools and supplies that I needed, I could not afford a warping mill. A warping mill is usually made of wood and is expensive. It looked easy enough to make from PVC, so I studied other mills and came up with my design. I got the supplies and started building. Everything you need is available at your local hardware store, Home Depot, or Lowe's. There are two kinds of warping mills, a horizontal one and a vertical. Because I wanted to have a sturdy base, I decided to create a horizontal mill, like the one pictured at the top to the right. I could not figure out how to make a PVC mill vertical because I thought the weight might topple it over when spinning it. Here's a list of the parts and tools required. Again, don't worry about writing this down. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how you can get your free PDF download of all of these instructions.
This is a PVC pipe cutter. This one's made by Husky, and I got this one from Home Depot. They come in several sizes. The most important thing is you get one large enough that will do a 1-inch pipe. So I believe this is the smallest that they sell, and it is sufficient for what we're doing today. It has a ratchet in it, and you simply put your pipe here and squeeze the trigger a couple times. And there you go. A nice, smooth, even cut. It's much easier than the hacksaw, certainly quicker.
To build the base, you need the 1-inch PVC pipe. Cut 2 pieces 35.5 inches long. Cut 4 pieces 14 inches long. Take 2 of the 14-inch pieces and join them together with a T connector in the center. Do that again with the other 2 14-inch pipes. Using the L connectors, join the 35.5-inch pieces to the pieces that you created with the T. Here's a close-up of the 14-inch pieces joined with the T, the corner pieces with an L, and when you're finished, you should have a rectangle. Next, we'll create the uprights or legs that will hold the cage to the base. Using the 1-inch PVC pipe, cut 2 pieces 21.5 inches long. Place an end cap on each piece. The end cap isn't necessary for making the mill work, but it does finish off the mill. To finish the base, put the leg uprights in the open hole of the T on the base. Now set this aside and we'll start working on the cage. We'll make the ends of the cage. Cut 8 pieces of 1/2-inch PVC pipe 12 inches long. This will create the two ends of the cage that spin when warping. Get your drill and a 3/8 inch drill bit. Get the two cross connector pieces. You want to find the center of the cross and mark it. Drill a hole through the cross connectors to allow the threaded rod to slip through. The cross pieces need to be able to turn on the rod, so make the hole slightly larger by wiggling the drill a bit. Get the two upright pipes or legs with the caps on one end. Measure down from the top of the cap 2 inches and drill a hole through these pipes for the rod to slide through. Now set this aside.
I've turned the reel so that you can see the main leg coming up from the base. When you drill the hole for the rod to go through, you want to be about 2 inches down from the top. The reason for that, as you need to change the length of the warp, you may need to use one of these outer pieces and just plug it in there. You want to make sure that that piece is a few inches off the ground so it doesn't hit on the floor. Also, when you first set it up, you're going to need to just make sure that the legs are sitting up straight. If it's at an angle, it's going to hit the leg, so just make sure that that's straight, nothing's hitting, and it'll spin freely.
Using the 1/2-inch PVC pipe, cut 4 pieces 30 inches long. These are the sides of the cage. Now cut 8 pieces 5 3/4 inch long, 6 pieces 6 inch long. I'm showing only half of the cage in the picture to the right. You're going to make 2 of these.
What is a cross? If you're familiar with a warping board, you've used a cross many times. It's 3 pegs that are sticking out from the board, and as you wind your warp, you come up one direction around the pegs, and then the next one you come down, and then around this side and around the other side. As you keep switching directions, it is creating a cross in the warp. And when you use the warp at your loom, now you're able to determine which end comes first. It's just a way to keep the warp organized so it doesn't get all tangled.
The cross is 3 pipes sticking out from the cage. There are 2 sets of crosses at opposite ends of the cage. This is where you create the cross in your warp. Depending on how you wind your warp onto the loom, you may only use one of these crosses. Get 2 of the 30-inch pipes. Measure 2.5 inches from the end of each pipe and mark that spot. Now get the U-bolt. Place one of the threaded ends on that mark. Now mark where the other threaded end hits the pipe. Using a drill bit the size of the U-bolt, drill 2 holes in the 30-inch piece so the U-bolt can slide through. Do the same thing to the other 30-inch pieces. To assemble the cross, you'll use 4 of the 5 3/4 inch pieces, joining them together using 3 T connectors. 2 of those 5 3/4 inch pieces will be held by the U-bolt at the ends. Now get 3 of the 6-inch pieces and put them in the open hole of the T connectors. You've just built one side of the cage. Do this again for the other side. Now we can assemble the cage. Place one of the cross pieces on the floor. On the right side of the cross piece, attach the cage piece with the cross down using the T's. Get the other side of the cage and insert it into the X, keeping the cross piece up in the air. Connect the other cross piece at the other end to make the cage. Here's a picture of the completed cage. The upper photo shows the crosses at opposite ends, one on the floor and one in the air. The next photo shows the entire cage assembled. We need to put the threaded rod on the cage. Slip the rod through the holes that you drilled in the X connectors. Get the washers and upright leg pieces. You will use the washers to stabilize the cage against the leg so it doesn't wobble. I found I needed 4 washers on top of the X and a 3/8 plastic spacer. Here's a close-up of the end of the cage with the rod going through it. I put 4 washers on the rod next to the X connector, a spacer, and another metal washer. These washers and spacers will keep the cage away from the legs so it will not hit while turning. Place the leg pipe with the cap on it on the rod. Put a washer on the other side of the leg and tighten the nut on the rod to hold the leg on. Do this with the other side also. Now that both legs are attached to the cage, we're ready to put it into the base. Get the rectangle base and put each of the legs of the cage into the open holes in the base. The warping mill's complete. Push all the connectors together so everything is tight. Final finishing for the mill. I use my mill on a hardwood floor and want it to protect the floor and also stop it from sliding. On the T-joint in the center of the base unit, I put a non-slide shelf fabric. I also put felt tabs in the corners to prevent. I've done a detailed video on YouTube showing how to wind the warp on this mill. The link to the video will be below, or you can find it in my playlist on my channel.
The warping mill's complete and ready to use. I promise to give you a free PDF download. Look in the description below for the link, and I'll send it to you immediately. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you make the mill, I'd really love to hear your comments, how it's working for you, or any suggestions you have to improve it. Just leave your comments below. My next video, I'm going to be using this warping mill to measure a warp for a lunatic fringe towel kit that I got for Christmas. If you'd like to join me, just subscribe to the channel. Don't forget, hit the bell so you get alerts every time I put out a new video. And do me a favor, just hit that like button below if you enjoyed this video. Thanks, I'll see you next time.